What's up everybody, how you doing out there? So in this video I'm going to end up making a shrimp marinara pasta. Now what inspired me to make this is a memory that I had when I was young. I was in high school, and when I was growing up I didn't have much money at all. We grew up poor, and one of my friends said, hey, let's go over to this one place with some of our other friends and we're going to end up getting something to eat. Now, I didn't have much money. I only had a few dollars on me. But my friend, on the other hand, I think maybe had 20 or something like that. They brought the menu out, and I was embarrassed because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to eat. I'm going to have to watch everybody else eat while I just have a soda because I don't have much money. And I'm looking at the menu, and I see that there's this pasta dish. And it's basically just a standard, house pasta. But it says add shrimp. And then there was a little bit of extra money that you would add shrimp to. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can afford the pasta, right? But I can't afford the shrimp. And then I asked, how much pasta is in this? And they said, oh, it's actually quite a bit. And then so I asked my friend, did you want to go 50-50 on this? Of course, that was me trying to trick him to pay for part of the stuff I couldn't afford. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. We were able to get a large portion of pasta with large shrimp like this for like around $10. Now this was back in high school, back in the late 80s. It was some of the best pasta I ever had, and it was some of the best shrimp I ever had, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I was only there one time, but that memory has been with me for my remaining days here. The name of that restaurant is called Mama Louisa's, and then that's in Tucson, Arizona. So I'm gonna be making a shrimp marinara pasta. And this is kind of in lieu of that memory of being at Mama Louisa's when I was in high school. And we're going to end up putting olive oil. I'm going to put a whole sweet onion in here. I'm going to be putting about 5 cloves of garlic in here. This is some kosher salt. I'll put some of that in there. Black pepper. Crushed red pepper. Yeah, let's put a little bit more. Now ordinarily, when I make like a marinara or a pasta sauce, I'll usually use some type of meat and the fat from the meat, but in this case we're not going to be putting anything like that in here. So it's sauteed for a little bit, and I'm going to end up putting an entire little can of tomato paste in here, and we want to kind of cook that tomato paste too. Alright, so we've been cooking this for just a little bit, and now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up putting some whole peeled tomatoes, and like I said before, this brand is amazing, and it's really my go-to one now. So what I'll do is I'll pour the sauce in, and then if I come out here and I squeeze the tomato, I'm going to just wear it. So I'll squeeze these while they're inside the can. We're not going to be adding any sugar or anything to this. That particular brand, you usually don't have to. I'm going to turn this down to low though, because I don't want this to be bubbling too much. It's not the lowest setting it can possibly be. Later on we can taste it, and if the tomatoes are really acidic, then at that point we can add sugar, but I haven't had any problems with Mutti brand. We're going to end up adding some dry herbs here, a decent amount of basil leaves, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon of oregano, a little bit of black pepper. Now if you want to put a red wine in this, you can, and generally, honestly, like when you're cooking with wine, anything that is a Pinot is usually a good wine to use. So if there's going to be a red wine you're going to be putting in here, like a little bit of a Pinot Noir would be fine. Later on we're going to end up make some of the shrimp, and we're going to be making that with some white wine, and then a Pinot Grigio would be really ideal, but you can use a Chardonnay as well. Okay, so at this point what we're going to do is we are going to cover this up, and we're going to let this set here on the very lowest setting for as long as we can do it. Okay, and we're going to check on it about every hour to make sure that it hasn't had all the liquid evaporate out of it. And if it has had water evaporate out of it, we can add more water or chicken broth or something like that to add flavor. If this was a meat sauce, you could add beef broth. But anyway, we'll check this out in a few hours, and then we're going to taste it for seasoning, and then we'll know where to go from there. Okay, so this has been cooking for quite a while, and I've tasted it, so I can tell it needs a little bit of salt, not too much. maybe a teaspoon of oregano, and maybe a teaspoon and a quarter of dried basil, and about a tablespoon dried parsley. Keep this going. I had added a little bit of chicken broth to this about an hour into it cooking to give it a little bit more liquid, but it's also going to give it flavor. So I'm going to let this cook about another hour, and then the sauce will almost be done because we're going to end up putting some Parmesan inside this too. So now what we're going to do is we are going to end up making our shrimp, which is actually separate from the sauce. I'm boiling some fettuccine right now. Okay. And I want that fettuccine to be about 95% complete, not completely cooked all the way through. So I've got some garlic here. So this is probably enough garlic, equivalent to about maybe 2.5, maybe 3 cloves. Now what we want to do with this is we want to slice it, but we don't necessarily want to chop it up fine. That is fine right there. We'd want to devein these if they haven't been cleaned out. Down here we want to hold the tail, and we want to just kind of pull around to take the shell off, just like that. So now that this is clean, we can throw it to the side, and we want to continue doing this. So, and we're going to be putting some olive oil in here. Yeah, let's put a little bit more. Let's take our garlic, little red pepper flake, just a little bit. If we start seeing that it's burning too quick, we need to lower the heat, because that's the last thing we want. In fact, I'm going to lower the heat, so this is now at a medium low. We want to get our butter ready. In this case, I'm going to use maybe just a couple of tablespoons. You can use up to a half a stick. Actually, you could use a whole stick if you wanted to. End up taking my butter. I'm going to throw it in there. We're also going to be putting some Pinot Grigio in here. I'm going to be putting a quarter of a cup maybe. And that's, the alcohol is going to want to start evaporating. So, you know, just be aware that that might flame up. But after about maybe a minute, all the alcohol will be out. We start throwing our shrimp in here. Shrimp cooks incredibly fast, so you don't really want to let this stuff stay in here for too long, or it's going to end up becoming rubbery. Parsley flakes. We're going to be doing this in 2 batches because of the amount of shrimp we have. But what we want to do is we want to take these, flip them over. All of this stuff you want to do right before you actually get ready to serve it. It's like that. So this right here, this shrimp is actually done. So we're going to end up taking it out, because if not, it's going to shrink up and it's going to become rubbery. And then that shrinking and becoming rubbery happens really fast. So you got to be conscientious. So now we're going to end up letting this sauce kind of reduce a little bit, and we're going to end up putting some of our tomato sauce inside there. Now this tomato sauce is not boiling, it's just warm. My God, the smell that's coming from this is insane. Let's put another ladle in here of the sauce. And kind of get a taste and see if we need to add anything to this. I added just a little bit of parm to that. So we're going to take our shrimp, we're going to throw it back inside the sauce. That will end up cooking it the rest of the way, as well as it's going to end up kind of keeping it warm. Now, if you wanted to, you could serve the shrimp just like this with no pasta, and people are going to go crazy for it. All right, so what we do is we take our shrimp, if you want, you can put a little bit more parsley on top just for the sake of it. Of course, fresh parsley is best, but you know something? It's actually 1 in the morning right now, guys, so I'm not going to be worried about fresh parsley. But anyway, guys, that is that. That is my shrimp marinara pasta, and this is kind of in honor or in memory of Mama Louisa's Tucson, Arizona. I haven't been there in more than 30 some odd years. I just remember not having any money and being able to get a large pasta dish with shrimp that was amazing.
and it was affordable. I only had it once in my life, but it's something I'll never forget. Mama Louisa's is still open in Tucson, Arizona. So if you ever get the opportunity, look them up, go check them out. Tell them Will sent you. They're going to say, who the hell's Will? If you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, all that other good stuff. Check out my other videos, and until next time, talk to you later.